So, good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our very short monthly talk, which goes on for about 45 minutes. It's a new series that we started a couple of months ago, and it's really very much a self-empowerment series where people come in and they just take a small dose of spiritual tips and tools and go away and see what they can do in working with it in their own self-empowerment practices. So my name is Nina Buchanan, and I'm very pleased to introduce our speaker this evening. Our speaker's name is Bina Bhatt. I've known Bina for at least 25 years as a colleague in the center that I meditate with. And for me, Bina is a really powerful speaker. She's really quite deep. And when she speaks, it's very easy to understand what she says. And she comes up with the most beautiful nuggets of spiritual tips and tools. So, thank you, Bina, for joining us this evening. And we look forward to hearing what you have to say about the bum of silence. Such a beautiful topic. It's very intriguing and thought provoking. Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much for that sweet introduction. Yes, now the topic, the bomb of silence. I would say it's quite appropriate for the times that we're in at present. We hear of so much violence in the world, but those bombs are devastating, whereas the bomb of silence is actually reviving for the spirit. It is energizing. It renews life. So it's quite different. Those bombs are made through the advancement of science, but this bomb is made through deep inner silence. It's something that each one of us is capable of engineering. In fact, I would say that silence is our true weapon. And silence is the ultimate weapon. If you think about it, the word atom and atom bomb, atom being the smallest particle of matter, and the soul, the living being that I am, is known as Atma. Atma meaning the living energy, soul, psyche that I am. And the soul resides in the center of the forehead, between the eyebrows, deep within the forehead. Atma and atom, two very similar sounding words. Soul is described as infinitesimally small, a point of light, a star that sparkles in the center of the forehead. Soul has within it mind, intellect, personality. Now we know the capacity of the mind. The mind can create so much. Things that can lead to war, like weapons of war, but also the mind has that ability to go deep into silence. So this is what we're going to explore today. And the human spirit, or the soul, has unlimited capacity. And it's not difficult to go into silence. If you think, when there are troubled times and there's so much uncertainty, people don't know which direction to run in, where to take help. But the true answers to everything lie within the self. So it's a very short journey, actually, to simply go within. That is, to internalize. In Hindi, the word antarmukta, that is, turn your face within, see the self, see the soul, go on an internal exploration. And of course, nowadays, with majority of people, there's so much noise within the mind. And partly that's due to all the external information that we're taking in through the senses, and partly it's one's own personality and thoughts that arise from that. So we need to learn to completely silence the mind. Of course, it's impossible to completely silence the mind because the nature of the mind is to be active, to create thoughts. Excuse me. But we need to utilize the mind in a way that we want to use it. So, first and foremost, to quieten the mind, we need to shut down the senses. The eyes, for instance, constantly taking in information from the outside world. So the mind is like a screen. Information that we take in through these eyes that reflects on the mind. And we think about those things. The ears constantly listening, and the mouth speaking a lot. And we need to silence these senses so that whilst seeing, I'm not seeing. Whilst hearing, I am not listening. And silence of the mouth so that the mind can go into a state of real silence and a state of rest. And what happens with rest? There's renewal of energy. And as we try this out, the longer we practice this, what we find is that there is concentration of silence power, accumulation of silence. And this is something very wonderful, because in that silence, there can be a lot of creativity, newness, growth. But first, just going deep within the self and feeling that silence. And when I reach the bottom of that core of silence, I am able to feel concentration. And that concentration is the ability of the mind and intellect coming together, working together. And of course, we know that when there's concentration, we are able to do so much, but in very little time. And it's as if time elongates. And we're able to also self-reflect. we're able to see what is going on within. But that first step of cleaning out what is inside and not taking too long over it either, because we know a lot of things we keep of the past that are useless, throw them out. Why keep them? It's just unnecessary burden on the mind. And so with that inner cleansing, cleaning out, decluttering, creating space within, I'm able to start afresh. So that's the first step. The second is to put up the no entry sign. Put up that sign. Don't allow anything further that's negative, unnecessary, to enter your mind. And as you try all this, see how successful you are. And it's quite encouraging because you'll notice you're able to do it. There are no questions of how. And there's a sense of confidence that grows from within, that you're able to go within and empower yourself in that silence. So these steps are steps to assemble the bomb of silence. When we go within and we are in a deep state of silence, we are able to remain in a state of self-awareness. Self-awareness, that is to say, knowing who I am, that I am a soul, to be grounded in soul consciousness. Being who I am as I am. Not anything false, but the true me. And when I am in a state of soul consciousness, I can be with my virtues. The true virtues of all souls are peace, love, purity, power, and bliss. Peace, which the soul has been thirsting for. It is that practice of silence that enables me to go within and touch that peace, which is the innate quality of all human souls. And that peace quenches the thirst of peace over a long period of time. And love that totally removes all of anger and hatred, and power that is innate to the soul, power which the soul has as an inheritance from the divine, from the Supreme Soul, which is a gift that all human souls have as an intrinsic quality. So, in soul awareness, soul consciousness, we are with our true qualities, and we are able to use these qualities in a very powerful way, in a very real way, to help in engineering that bomb of silence. Because when I align myself in soul consciousness, using my true qualities, I'm also able to connect with the Supreme, the Divine, the Powerhouse, God, the being of truth, the being of the power of silence, the power of peace, the power of benevolence. We say the ocean of all qualities. And so, soul aligning with the divine, the two together, combined, and nothing is impossible. So, the divine God uses such a soul to achieve his task, God's task, to bring peace into the world. And our pure desire also to bring peace to the world. So, in the state of silence, I then purposefully create thoughts of peace. And combined with the divine, in my thoughts, I realistically and very purposefully target an area or even the world to throw this bomb of peace. And every thought of mine is loaded with peace and the power of silence, so that wherever I target that thought, it is going to bring an explosion of silence. And that silence is so powerful and so meaningful that it spreads vibrations of peace in all four directions. It spreads the vibration of deep, deep silence. And that silence, powerful yet very subtle, penetrates the minds of human beings, and it brings a sense of quiet. It calms the minds and the hearts of human beings, and it has a deep impact, not just on people, but all of nature, all of life. So it is what the world needs. It is that people are ready to receive this. So as we do this collectively, all of us unifying at the same time with the same thought, the thought of powerful silence, deep inner peace, and peace for the world, then not only are we able to uplift ourselves, but we have a huge impact on all the world. But it is a collective effort. Now, individually, of course, we can do this, and each one can devise their own plan of going within and experiencing that inner peace, inner silence, and then using that. So it's not simply of bombarding my powerful thoughts of peace in different areas, but it is very much a matter of combining my thoughts with the vibrations of the divine, my connection with that supreme being. This also is something that we can all do. It's simply a matter of knowing that Supreme Being. And this I've learned through the practice of Raj Yoga meditation. And it's something of a relationship, actually, soul with God. It can be thought of as relationship of father and child, or teacher and student, in whatever way you may choose. And it's something for each one to experiment with and feel for yourself. Once you have a taste for something, then it's something you will try again and again to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. Now, self-empowerment through the power of silence and that ability to go within and be in solitude and be able to create whatever it is that you need to create for yourself. We know that a wise person will use their wisdom to be silent when necessary and be able to have that control. It's not always necessary to reply, because in silence, there's a great deal of communication that can happen. Just a very simple example. Think of a mother holding a baby in her arms. There's no verbal communication as such, but just through her vision, the child, the baby feels comfort, love, peace, joy. And it is silent communication through the eyes. It is through vibrations. Similarly, if there's somebody you don't like, you might be giving them a silent treatment. And that also can mean for you to go within and check yourself, and for the other one to also do the same. So that if there is any misunderstanding, any cloud that's in the way, it will get blown away. So silence can do a lot. And silence is not the absence of thoughts, but it is just having the ability to create the thoughts that I want to have. Positive thoughts, thoughts that will refresh, renew energy, thoughts that are filled with benevolence, good wishes for all. So when we explode the bomb of silence, what is it that we are doing really? It is that we are spreading vibrations of good wishes, peace, love, feelings of benevolence to all souls of the world, to all of life, to this earth that we have harmed so much. The poor earth is wounded. It's as if it's plastered and it's on oxygen. And it needs every drop of peace and love, just as we human souls need. So consider all of life to be at a phase in time, a phase of neediness. And it is our responsibility to be able to serve at a time of need. And this is truly an act of charity. To help at the time of need, an act of charity. So, let us all join together in thought, having the same type of thoughts that are filled with positivity, filled with benevolence, to help the world move forward. I'm sure you've heard the song, "What the World Needs Now is Peace and Love." So let's face it, we are at a time of crisis. Perhaps it hasn't hit the countries that are quite comfortable and well off, but it's not far away. And so internally, we all need to prepare ourselves for our own benefit, but to help each other also. And it's a battle of the weak with the strong. The strong feel that they are strong, but in fact, that strength is the force of the vices. The vices are truly the enemy. And the weak who think they are weak, in fact, they are the strongest because they have the qualities that can overcome the vices. There's a song, in fact, about the flame and the storm, how the storm is trying to wipe out everything in its path, but a little flame is victorious in staying alight. So we have to keep this light of the soul lit and light the lights of other human souls also, so that we stand a chance of survival, but also to gain strength and be able to lead a life of righteousness. And silence is my tool for going within. Silence is my quality that externally is demonstrated through my art, through my creativity. You probably know some of the greatest artists of the world, whether they have done paintings or written music or whatever kind of art they have shown. They have done this through first going into silence, shutting out the world, and being able to go within and using silence to tap into their creativity and amazing, amazing things they have come up with. And in fact, when we speak about silence of the eyes, silence of the ears, it's something that we need to work with, because when we work with this, we find that a lot that is spoken is in fact unnecessary. A lot of sound is just superficial, meaningless. Yet, what people do, because they don't want to hear the noise that is within their minds, because they haven't spent time in sorting out the stuff that is in the mind, people want to lose themselves in external sounds. So they'll turn on the TV turn on the radio so that they don't have to listen to the chaos that's within their own minds. But that's not really the answer. All of that external stuff is actually just waste, and it is polluting the mind. If I am to use my mind for anything extraordinary or anything even as basically necessary, then the best thing is to clean the mind, cleansing of the mind. And when the mind is clean and pure and fresh, you will see how quickly we're able to achieve what we want to achieve, and we have time on our hands to be able to help others with what they need to do also. So, we say that silence is golden, and we're able to see how this is true because the sound of silence is very sweet. We say sweet silence, and that's an experience of going within, but it's also an experience of going up above. Because when the soul internalizes and experiences sweet silence, it's also able to go up above, far beyond this world of the sun, the moon, the stars, far beyond. Through the power of our thoughts, we're able to go into the sweet silence of the home of all souls, the soul world, the place that we souls have come from. We have simply come onto this earth and adopted this earth to be our home. And these costumes we identify with as the self. But all of this is temporary. And that sweet home is our true home. And because we have experienced the sweetness of that silence, it's something that we want to experience here and now. And it's something we can cultivate by going within the self. And so much as to understand that silence can lead to the best things being made, the best creativity. And when I think in this way, I realize that silence is my true friend, my real friend. It helps me. It guides me. It's giving me time and space. And I feel innately a sense of what I need to do. So the more I go into silence, the more I am able to draw on my virtues and use those virtues in my everyday life. The more I use those virtues, the more they become my powers. And the power of silence is one power that we have mentioned, but then the power of truth, the reality of the self, the soul, combining with God, the ocean of truth, and the soul simply is still holding silence and holding the truth. And that truth makes whatever I say authority. The authority of truth comes out. No need to prove anything, no need for any kind of stubbornness, but truth, and we can hold silence, and just the truth reveals itself. So many things there to contemplate on, many things to think about and experiment with, but using that peace, sweet silence to transport the self, the soul, up above, to connect with the divine and to look down at this world, this pure world from up above, the world without any barriers, the world without any boundaries or borders, and just use the power of the mind, powerful thoughts to spread, raise vibrations of silence and peace in a way that the whole world feels surrounded, engulfed by peace. And little by little, we're able to spread that deep peace to the whole of the globe, to all people, all souls. We are in soul consciousness, we realize that all are one family, a global family. Everyone's needs are the same. There's no need for us to take from the other, because the source of all goodness is the one up above, the Supreme. And he replenishes the soul with whatever the soul needs, so that we are in a state of fullness, so that we are able to give and share with others. But powerfully experiencing my inner state of silence, and through these eyes sharing vibrations of peace and silence with others, so that we can bring silence and stillness to the minds of others, and we can help one another in this way. So I hope these few thoughts have been useful and something to reflect on. And if there are any thoughts that you might like to share, or any questions that you may like to put, you're most welcome. Thank you.
So I just wanted to say thank you, Bina, for your really thought-provoking talk. So I just want to say that it was a really thought-provoking talk. I really enjoyed every minute of it. And I've made a few notes because I really felt that it was very important to highlight some of the things you said, and also to ask some questions, just at least one question. You talked about the physical bomb versus the silence, the bomb of silence.
Yes.
And then, of course, you went into details about the atom bomb versus the soul atma. Beautiful, absolutely stunning. Now, the other thing you mentioned, which I thought was really interesting, and that would be very interesting to those people who are really just starting out on exploring the possibility of introducing silence into their lives. For example, yesterday we were at a program and one individual talked about how addicted he has become to listening to music, as a way of just being focused and concentrated. And he felt that might be hindering him from going deeper. And you talked about steps to assemble the bomb of
Yes,
silence, to remain
yes,
in a state of soul consciousness
yes,
and being aware as to where your thoughts are from one minute to the next, and really
yes,
having that profound relationship with the divine. And you said that each one can devise their own plan that's
yes.
unique to them. So, what would you say to someone who is really saying, I'm not sure that this music is really helping me after all to get to
Yes,
where I want to get to? What,
yes,
how would you be informing him about the initial steps that he can take,
yes.
given that he's acknowledging that he's probably very attached to listening to music?
I think music is a beautiful way to lose yourself. But you know, if you want to come back to center yourself within yourself, then we really need to internalize. And one is music and sweet sounds, the other is silence and solitude. And the moment this fellow takes steps into the experience of solitude, going within, then, even whilst being in the midst of thousands, he will be able to experience the sweet music of silence, because silence has its own symphony that enables the soul to really dance, because it's energy, the energy of silence that lifts the soul and enables the soul to really take power from that energy. And the soul is able to experience the sweetness of that and begins to love that. And then all the limited things that they were hooked on before, they drop away effortlessly. That's what I would say.
So you would suggest that they continue to listen to music to really maintain that state of detachment
Yes,
from the outer world.
it's okay to listen to music,
Yes,
but the aspect of going within, and there will be a new kind of experience in which they will be able to create their music.
right.
And yes, and that it's a newness, and it's such a sweet sound of silence. It's not like it's nothingness, but there's sweetness within that. And there'll be newness within his own thoughts of new lyrics, new
Yes,
tunes, new creativity.
yes,
That's what I would say.
yes, yes. Thank you so much, Bina. There is a tendency for people to really want to be entertained.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So, for example, there are people who we love to hear speak
yes,
because they have so much words of wisdom,
yes,
and and then when it is time to really go within and perhaps explore what that wisdom, what those words of do mean to them,
yes,
they are unable to do that, you see, because there's so much attachment to being entertained.
yes.
And so, what would you say to how would you go about as a Raj Yoga meditation practitioner for so many years? How would you go about um, trying to get them to understand that the emphasis on the need to be entertained is really not is a blockage in itself?
Well, you know, quite honestly, Carol, I feel that with all of us,
Yeah,
change is very important.
Yes.
You know, if I'm doing the same thing day in, day out, then I'm going to get bored with it. And I will look for something that's going to entertain me, something that's going to make me happy. Whether it's going down to the local pub, whether it's meeting friends, whether it's going to see a play in theatre, I'm going to look for some change. You see? So that's the thing that I need to look at. That what am I using as the change? Now, it can be going for a walk, it can be being in the company of someone who I love, it can be walking the dog, it can be anything. The thing is, what I need to do that would be most helpful is do the thing that has some future. For instance, you said you listen to someone and they're saying something amazing. That's something I would love to do because they are teaching me something that is new, different. That is the change for me. And it's something I can learn from. Therefore, I take it on board and I use it. I play with it and I experiment with it. And maybe I even make it a part of my life. So that is entertaining for me.
Fantastic. Lovely. I really love that. So basically, what you're doing is you're really giving a variety of ways in which people can connect to their inner silence. Thank you very much. That was excellent, Bina.
That's
Thank you
okay.
so much.
That's
And again, thank you very much for joining us. And we will look forward to collaborating with you again in the future. And before we finish, I just want to see if I can share the screen to show the flyer for the next event coming up, a sense of belonging. And it's about true belonging happens when we have an interest in building relationships, first with ourselves and then with others. When we do this, we can believe and belong to ourselves. Beautiful. This doesn't mean that we change who we are, but learn to be who we are. So this event is going to be an hour's talk on the 31st of July in 2 weeks' time, from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock UK time. Thank you very much indeed. And stop sharing here. So thank you very much for coming, and we look forward to you joining us again. Thank you.